Submit. Okay, participants. Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
This doesn't act quite like what I'm used to.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You're there. Did you start it,
You're
Susan?
muted, Joanne.
I think I started it, but then when I came on, it said that it was already being recorded. Which, okay, hang on a second. And I've got Janice to admit. So I was afraid that
I can't hear you, Susan.
Oops. Okay, what?
Okay, got it. I got it. Oh, I'm good now. Thanks.
Good. Hi, Janice, you look tired. Did you have a bad day?
I just got home.
Oh, geez.
And I did stop to get a couple of groceries on the way, but I had my long chemo day today. So I didn't get out of there till 3. And I got to warn you guys, they pump you full of saline along with the drug. And that means I'm going to have to probably
be peeing every 10 minutes.
Yes, I've gone 4 times since 2:30. I apologize. Too much information. But
do what you need to do.
Do you think we could tell Janice it's okay if she takes the night off?
Well, we're talking about the Gazette, though, right?
Completely up to you, Janice.
No, I'm here. It's just okay. I'm decompressing. You know.
Okay. Susan Millinger.
Is that Susan?
Yep, that must be Susan Gomberg who's there.
Yes. Could you rename her, please?
I'm here.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. So that you know.
Okay, good. I have to keep an eye on anybody else who's coming.
Oh, you're hosting, right?
I heard that today that the word is that Martha's brother is not doing well.
Oh.
So I'm wondering if she might not come.
Yeah, I heard.
I have no idea, but that's what I just heard.
Okay. I heard on with the Friends of the Library that he had heart bypass surgery and she was taking care of him in her home.
Here's yes, we've known that. Here's Martha coming, so she's okay.
Okay.
Let's just remember we're recording. So
yep.
So we'll wait for Martha and then we'll I'm here.
Jeanette.
Okay. Well, we don't know. Well, it's after 5:30, so we'll go ahead and call ourselves to order at 5:34 p.m.
Sorry.
Since I got here a little late, is Jeanette not coming, or we're just starting before she gets here?
We're just going to start. And
okay, I didn't know if you did something.
I haven't heard anything from her, so we'll just proceed and then.
Okay, thank you.
Jeanette is in Vietnam.
Oh, okay then.
You won't make it tonight.
Okay. Thanks for letting us know. Okay. Are you okay, Martha, for us to start, or you want to? Are you?
Yes, please. No, I'm just trying to plug things in. I got home late from Boston.
Okay. Okay. So the first item on our agenda is the minutes.
No.
Yes.
No, it's not. We have to say who's here.
Oh yes. Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. Joanne Bernhardt is here.
Sorry.
Martha, you're next alphabetic.
Martha. Let's try to do the alphabetics. Martha Favre is here.
Gomberg.
Janice Gray is here.
Susan Millinger's here.
And Linda Avis Scott. Thanks, Janice. Okay. All right. Now, minutes for the 9th of November. Can we entertain a motion?
I make a
And
motion.
this is,
Go ahead, Susan.
go ahead.
Domberg, I move that we accept the minutes as presented of the November meeting.
I
Okay,
second that.
Bernhard second.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay.
No.
There being none, shall we vote?
Mhm. Okay, Bernhard, aye.
Favre, aye.
Domberg, aye.
Ray I's music muted.
Okay, Janice, you're muted.
And there we go. I couldn't, I was clicking and clicking and clicking. Gray eye.
Millinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. Thank you, Susan Millinger.
You're quite welcome. Thank you for all the help.
Okay, so the next item is a financial update. And I don't know if you all saw, but late this afternoon, I did send around an email. Just so you'd have them, you'd actually have the numbers in front of you with the update. So
I'm sorry, I didn't receive that yet.
Okay. Well,
But I'll be able to check it, to refer.
yes, you will. Yes, I put all the numbers there, Susan, so you'll be able to.
Yeah.
You don't have to take them all down right now.
And I got them too, but I hadn't been on my email while I was driving, so.
Yeah, that's okay. So the big news is that we received more in grant funds than we expected, and Joanne can tell us all about that.
Okay.
When we learned from Gail Weiss that we received 7,000, we received more money than we expected. $7,488. Joanne researched why.
Okay, so I reached out to Adam Frank, who is in the Executive Council of Elder Affairs, who is responsible for communications with councils on aging in Massachusetts. And I've been in contact with him before on other things, and he always gets back immediately, which he did, and said that the increase in the funding that we had was due to nearly a doubling of our elderly population of 60 and above. So, and this goes according to the census. So the last census 10 years ago had our elder population at 312. And this census, 2020 census, had our elder population at 624. So it was a doubling of the 60 and above population according to the census. And I think we don't quite know if the census is entirely correct because we don't know how many people did or didn't turn it in. But at least what happened with the threshold for small towns who all receive $6,000 grants is 500 people. 60 and above. And so we had 124 people more than 500 at $12 per person, which gave us an increase in our grant, and we received a total of $7,448 instead of the usual 6,000.
Okay.
So that's where we are. Susan, do you need more more numbers?
I think I have it all. Thank you very much, Joanne, for that nice, clear report.
Okay.
We can use this information in the Gazette. She says, jumping ahead. Anyway.
Yes. Yes.
So with Linda's calculations that she did and sent around to us all, with the November foot clinic being at $300, and the fitness that we gave to the library at 760. Linda, is that correct?
780.
80. Okay. And with an estimate for the foot care estimate for the rest of the year, I think, is that right?
Yes. So we have with the addition of $1,488, our updated balance is $6,046.36. November foot care was a little higher at $330, and part of the reason for that is that there was one additional October visit that was done later in the month, so it wasn't included in the October balance. So that's $330, and then the fitness allocation was $780, leaving a current balance of $4,936.36. If we subtract the foot care estimate for the rest of the fiscal year, which is about $1,277.50, and about $550 for the Gazette issue estimate, we end up with $3,108.86 in unallocated funds. And that's all in the email, so you don't have to remember it all. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we have more than we bargained for. And this will continue now. This should continue now through the next 10 years. Is that correct, Linda?
I guess so, because yeah, our contract, our current contract was for a 10-year contract, and now we're in the new category, which is fabulous.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, right, because it's based on the census, it won't change until the next U.S. Census. Yes, thank you, Joanne, for researching.
Okay.
Why? So that's our financial update with Grant News. Are there any questions?
Okay. So moving on to the next item is the plans for the Gazette. Janice, did you have something to?
Well, I have not written my piece about the survey. I have a framework in my head. I was going to do it today at the hospital, and I just didn't have the.
No.
But I also wanted. I have other things to say about the Gazette too. I also wanted to, since we're going to be talking about the survey results review, there might be things that you come up with in that part of our meeting that I would think should go into this piece. So I was kind of also waiting on that.
Okay.
And what I was thinking is noting that our population of people 60 and up doubled is a really nice little piece to stick in there. Yeah, I did, as you know, receive Sally's police chief interview as a Word doc because she made a couple of typos. Yeah. Like it's Monday Club, not Cub. But I thought maybe it was the police chief saying, "Oh, I'm going to be like a mama bear and check in on you," and someone said, "Oh, you're a Monday Club Cubs," and it was a typo. I don't know. Anyway, I confirmed it was a typo. It's Club. Found out where which police academy Kristen went to, because there used to be one in Westfield somewhere. I don't know if it's still there. She went to a different one. And then I called her yesterday and got her on the phone. I thought I'd get a machine, and asked if she had a picture she'd like me to include. I think it'd be nice to have a picture of her. She sent me two, and there's one that's really cute, where it's a close-up of her in her uniform. You can see Burgess right there, and she's shoveling snow.
Oh,
Okay.
It was taken last year, obviously, because the snow's almost up to her waist. So
Well.
that's not what we just got. So I said, is this, were you, you know, I thought, well, maybe her uniform now says Chief Burgess or something. It doesn't, she's the same uniform. So I said, I liked that one, and it would be very fitting for the season that this newsletter will come out. So that's what I have to say about my piece and Sally's piece.
thank you. Thank you.
The picture's also appropriate with a Sand for Senior program.
I don't know what we're going to have. Oh yeah, and it probably had something to do with it. If she might have been helping a senior, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know what the other articles are going to be yet, because that's what we're going to talk about maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Martha?
So I interviewed Chief Lenny. I won't attempt his last name.
Zerwanka.
Zerwanka.
Zerwanka, thank you. So, and then, so I interviewed him, I don't know, a week or so ago, and then it took me a little time to get the information from his official hire dates. And so, and I wanted to flesh out the article a little more. So I just stopped by and had another conversation with him. So I can finish that up this evening or tomorrow morning and send it all out to you. And then, you know, you can, if that's how you want to work it. And well, no, first I told him, in fairness to him, I said, I will share this interview with you. And he said, well, that would be great, because, you know, I just want him to make sure that he was, that he said, sometimes I talk off the cuff and it's amazing what happens, what gets printed. So I said, no, in fairness to you, I'll share this with you. So we will have that soon.
Okay,
You know,
Great.
so,
Can you get a picture of him?
yes,
Thank you.
I'll ask him for a photo.
And I also was going to say, I'm realizing that we didn't even have a firm deadline for today. It was today or January, and I haven't done my part. I thought also that I could send things out to you guys, as Martha's talking about doing. Maybe I can get it done tomorrow. And just as long as you make comments on it, you don't reply all. I think that's what we did last time.
Yeah.
Well, not to stress you guys out, but thank you so much for doing these wonderful interviews and articles. And I don't think that you need to stress about getting it out this week. We can definitely look at it after the holiday and not put pressure on you to finish it right now.
You mean look at it privately, not in a meeting?
right.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh,
And it might take a bit for Lenny to get it back to you, you know.
Right. I'll give him, yep.
Thank you so much. So we have two feature articles.
Plus the Sand for Seniors that I know went in the Our Town, but I, you know, there's another part of the senior audience that may not.
Right. It's on the website too, but you're right. And
I know,
she doesn't mention it in the article. So.
Well, it would be good to have it in tandem with the article.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I could pull it off of the website.
Or it was in the last Our Town too, Janice.
Wherever it was. It
was a town announce.
It's been in both places, and I do both of them. So
yeah. Okay, so we have an article about we have the two chiefs. We have the Sand for Seniors bit. We have and Janice is going to write something regarding the survey, including the data, the updated data we now have about our above 60 population. It's coming together.
So it would appear that we're well on our way to the next Gazette art edition.
So my question is, I just pulled up the last one, and I'm wondering what if what you might want repeated in there. We talked about ways to save on health care. We had the taxes, and we don't even have Kevin now, and food, but we had the foot care happy feet piece. And we could include, as I have done on the website, since we don't have MedRide, I could mention, do what I did on the website there about village neighbors, and the Franklin County MedRide program only is for visits outside of Franklin County. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yeah. Yes.
So are there other, so if you agree with me on those two, have the foot program, foot care by nurse, that's what it is, foot care by nurses. Maybe not repeated exactly the same, but these are the sort of things that Linda has sent me before. I don't know what else you want in there besides our feature stories and Sand for Seniors.
LifePath last week sent out a bit about scams.
Okay.
And perhaps we might want to put a little bit about that.
Okay.
That seems to be relevant right now. I've seen some postings on Nextdoor Shutesbury about people who have been receiving scams, notifications on their phones. Yeah, there was another interesting article by LifePath several weeks ago, I think, about money management. That they have volunteers who help people structure their financial situations. People who come in, from LifePath, trained volunteers who come in and help people kind of organize their finances. I don't know how you feel about that as a short article, just referring to LifePath if people want help.
Susan Millinger, I saw your hand go.
I'm wondering how many of our seniors take the LifePath, get the LifePath newsletter.
Oh, we did talk about pushing that in the newsletter too. Remember?
That would be a really good idea. And those things that you're just talking about would be examples of what you can get.
Oh, I was thinking of the Silver Line.
Silver Line, yes, exactly. That's the other one about the Silver Line. Yeah.
But to know that LifePath puts out a very informative weekly newsletter, and this is how you get it on the list.
Good idea.
Good, yeah.
I think that would be very helpful. They also have information on the LifePath on the nutrition, and there's always information in terms of dementia. I don't know how much we do with that, on Council on Aging. Oh, capabilities are.
Are you thinking of the MCOA newsletter?
Yes, that one. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. We were actually just speaking about the LifePath newsletter, but yeah, because the MCOA, that's LifePath newsletter, people can get it electronically, but they can also call up and receive a mailed copy. So if that's easy
to electronic.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to take notes here so I don't miss something. We did have something, it was about the Alzheimer's Association helpline last time. But you're talking about the MCOA something, which I saw, but I don't know. I didn't stick it in my Gazette folder.
Every issue, if you scroll down, they have in various bits of information about dementia friendly grants, programs and things like that. I don't know if there is material in there that's relevant to the general population. I haven't looked at it from that lens. I think about the LifePath newsletter and that, because that's for everybody. But we can, you know, if someone sees something in there that seems relevant, call our attention, you know, send it around to everybody.
I was actually looking at the whole LifePath website with a view to finding out what's in the Silver Line, you know, going bit by bit. There's so many services that they offer. So it would be good to let people know that they can go there and see what all is on offer, because there are an amazing number of services. We just hope that LifePath is able to continue at the level that they have been during the COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I have,
is that
Susan?
yes?
Thinking about LifePath, if we ever get to the position where we think we want to have a public presentation or even a Zoom presentation, it would be good to have somebody come from LifePath and talk about the programs.
So that's something to put, you know, for a future conversation is what programs we might sponsor, and as Susan suggested, they could be on Zoom and. Okay, got that. Okay, so it sounds like the Gazette is coming together. Janice, are you okay at the moment?
Physically? Or with the Gazette? I don't know what you mean.
Okay, 1A, would you like a break?
No, I'm okay for now.
Okay.
I'll let you know, but I need to escape.
Okay, so then my next question is, are you, you know, you said you made some notes, and I just want to check in and make sure, you know, you're good if we move on to the next topic.
I'm good, yeah.
Okay. All right, so just at the Gazette right now, the pieces are coming together, and so our next meeting is the 11th of January. So we'll see where things are at, if there's possibly a draft.
So.
Yeah, so that's the goal, that we would have, you know, all things being as they are, that we'll have a draft for our January meeting. Okay, that sound good? Okay.
Susan? Susan, did you have your hand up?
I just rose, it was a thumb up.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so we are in agreement. Susan Gomberg, are you there?
I'm here. I was just trying to find, I looked on the Silver Line under Shutesbury, and the only it had for us was that we had med rides. So
right, which is out of date.
Yeah, so is there a way to correct that? I don't know what to do with it.
We should have foot care should be on there, yes?
I'm scrambling mightily to figure out how I got to that thing.
There's an alphabetical listing of everything that's in the Silver Line, and I think that's where it came up.
Oh, right,
yes, I did notice that too. This is Bernhard. I did notice that, and it's in the printed copy, so I don't know what it will take to correct it.
Yeah, I didn't know either.
I'll look into it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Martha has her hand up.
Yeah, Martha.
So what is the Silver Line? Sorry, I'm not.
It's a compilation of regional resources for seniors. So it's an actual, it's available online, but it's an actual booklet.
Okay. And who puts
that LifePath puts out? LifePath.
Okay. Thank you. learning all these resources.
Well, this was my first peek into it too. It was quite amazing how much they have in there. So
Yeah.
okay, so moving along, do we have the age-friendly survey results to discuss?
Well, what do folks think?
Well, I looked at the whole survey. I looked again. This is Gray speaking. I'm sorry. Keep forgetting to do that.
Me too.
And I'm not sure, where are they? I brought them up with me. Oh, they're under my folder. Here we go. So I looked at our particular results and boiled them down because it's pages and pages of graphs, and I made it, little paragraphs of things. And I also looked again. I didn't look again, but I reviewed the video of the November 1st meeting because I remembered there were some good opening comments by Meg Ryan, and I wrote them down. Closed captioning helps. I could pause it, and so I can quote some of the overview of Franklin County. One of the things that she said at the beginning is how the U.S. is a rapidly aging population. When in 2031, and 5 of us will be 65 or older, but in Franklin County, it's happening particularly fast, and it will be 1 in 3. And then we can type, and so there we go. And there, in Shutesbury, the census shows, So anyway, I thought I'd have something like that, and then there's a lot my own particular thoughts, and you might feel differently if you haven't had a chance to look at the survey. There are some areas that there were all these 8 domains, and if we covered them all, that would be the entire Gazette. I don't think we need to. There were a few of the core ones that stood out for Shutesbury. For example, telehealth. That's a problem in Heath, but it's not in Shutesbury really. Our people are pretty comfortable with it. So I just wanted to see what. Oh, and the other thing that I noted, and I would like to pull out, maybe as in bold or something, is that 19% of the people who responded in Shutesbury to the survey did not know about Village Neighbors. And the smallest group of respondents were those 80 to 89. And this is not an original thought to me, but that's the population that really needs help. Compared to, well, it's more likely to, but I don't know of the 130 responses that Shutesbury received. I don't know how, I can't remember if, we sent out these surveys and when we did the paper copies, it was 1 per each person. If there were 2 people in a house, we sent 2, as I recall. But I don't know how many of the 130 surveys that Nora got represent 130 households, 130 individuals in 60 households. I don't know how to tell that. I don't know if it matters. But what the point I'm trying to make is I don't know what the current population, and I bet Linda might have this through Grace, how many people in town are 80 to 89?
Yep.
That would be helpful to include somewhere.
Okay.
I'm just going to shut up now and see what you guys have had a chance to think about if you have gone and looked at it.
Okay. To answer your question, I can give you that number. Not right now, but
not right. But I figured you had it somewhere.
Yeah. Well, we have it in our big list, which is I have it. Okay. Martha, did you have something?
Martha, I did. I had a question. I was curious because we received 2 sets of those surveys, if I'm not mistaken. I think one came from Village Neighbors and one came from Council on Aging. So was there when those things were sent in, was there I think they were anonymous, maybe, I can't remember. Anyhow, was there any way to just make sure that they were just getting one survey per household, so that we're not actually getting a really warped view of who responded. Janice has her hand up.
I remember Noor being asked that question. In other words, were people voting twice by, without,
Right.
And he didn't think it'd be likely.
Yeah.
But he also seemed to have a way to not duplicate them. And I don't know how he did it.
Right. Right. And we had conversations with Village Neighbors about that problem at the time, that about the duplication and confusion that was caused by Village Neighbors sending out surveys. And
now, Village Neighbors just sent out surveys to its members, right?
Right, but
but still there's a big overlap.
Some of those people were the same people that we sent surveys to.
Oh, absolutely. There's a big overlap.
Yeah. So, but we talked about it, and so we, that was part of the. Excuse me, my cat is deciding that now is a good time to poke me. Anyway, we worked it out, so it resulted in increased communication and collaboration between the Village Neighbors and themselves. Yeah.
Okay, but they didn't think it skewed the results.
Or didn't think it would.
No.
Okay.
Excuse me for a minute. I'm going to be bothered if I don't hurry up and do something about it.
Well, she's dealing with the cat. I'll see if I can try to remember what he said, but Shutesbury is not like horribly or wonderfully different in some of the main areas that were identified in the Franklin County, North Quabbin region that took the survey. So, I don't know if we even need to go into specific, well, we could, which is why I sort of broke down the percentages. But the main categories seem to be over in general. Where is it? The housing, transportation, and I can't remember, but they sort of summarized the whole region's issues, that we're not like in Boston saying we aren't enough park benches on the public pathways in parks. Right. Right. So they sort of highlighted the top 3 concerns. And I would think, just for simplicity and length, maybe we'd want to mirror that.
That makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
And since we aren't, and this is the point I'm trying to make, now I'll stop again, is since we aren't, aren't like this one maverick community that thinks everything is wonderful and we don't have any of these problems, I don't think we need to worry too much about whether some people submitted their answers twice.
Right. Got it. Susan M.
Thank you.
Susan M., this is one is a general comment. I don't imagine that you remember it, but when I went to that workshop on diversity, equity, and inclusion, one of the speakers said that across the country, the 2 big issues are affordable housing and transportation. So these problems we're talking about, they're not just Franklin County problems, they're national problems. And okay, what was the second thing that I was going to say? I may not remember what the second thing was I was going to say or ask, so I will shut up and think about that.
This is Bernhardt. That's what I gained from looking at all the graphs and looking at the questions, and was the same thing. It was transportation, which we know is a problem here, and affordable housing. So seniors not being able to stay in their homes because of affordability issues.
Susan?
I remembered what I had forgotten. I think, Janice, personally, and I guess this is addressed to everybody, not just Janice, I think it's interesting to talk about people's complaints about problems of living in Shutesbury. the limitations of living in Shutesbury. I remember a couple of people saying, you know, that they felt they would need to move away as they aged because they didn't think they could continue to live in Shutesbury.
I pulled a couple of quotes from that. Where did I put them?
I remember one about Skomberg. Somebody said that they lived down a long street and they worried about it in the winter.
Lord, that could have been me.
Well, there are a lot of factors. I mean, it's not,
Yeah.
It's affordability on one hand, but on, you know, there are other things like there's no single level housing for people to age in. So you have to move out of town in order to access that kind of housing, because it's not being built in Shutesbury. So, or there, when houses were built in Shutesbury, single level living was not an issue, apparently. So there, I mean, there's that, there's the tax issue, because there's, in Shutesbury, there's only residential taxes that support the town. You know, there are a number of issues, so it's not entirely clear why people would need to move away. I guess we could look at that question in the survey and try and pick out some salient points. I'll volunteer to go back and look at that if Janice.
If you'd like to.
Okay.
What some of the quotes I pulled were like the transportation one. When you get into the open responses, that's when people are saying things, which some of them are. I was going to use a few of them. For example, they were talking about feeling safe. What would it, and where'd I go? I'm sorry. What would make you feel safe? If you answered, if you don't always feel safe, and only 19 people answered. So a lot of people didn't even bother to answer the question, which is a little bit of a problem. An example is, what would you need to feel safe? 2 English Mastiffs, bear spray for coyotes during daily walk. And here's one that addresses what what gets into the housing thing. Living in a home with no stairs, having a place without ice, but I'm not going to give up living in a geographical area which has winter. Living alone causes one to feel vulnerable during storm events or illness. More community, people checking in during big winter events. So if you go to the whatever section, I'm sorry, Joanne, that you were just taking a look at, you might find some quotes in there.
Okay, I'll look at that.
You know, I'm wondering if it might be helpful to cite the percentage of people who live by themselves.
Well, that's a good idea. Yeah, they're already going to do that. I think I might have been. I've got 4 pages of this stuff.
Well, we should probably wait to look at your notes, Janice, and then sort of comment on those.
I'm going to make a note to myself to make sure I do that, so I don't forget.
This is Bernhardt. I do remember the police chief, Kristen, when the Sand for Seniors first came out last year, she connected with people that she was bringing some sand to, and they told her they would like to be put on a list of people that the police could check on during snow events or things like that. So that would be something to highlight again.
Right.
Yeah, I actually made a little note next to that saying refer to police chief piece, which does not, which maybe that's not the Monday Club, but whatever. Anyway, I'm going to link those two somehow.
Okay.
And then in transportation, someone said, we have fallen through a crack.
Yeah. Yeah.
So shall we discuss transportation?
Yeah, on that note, I'd like you to know that today in the COA email, we received an inquiry for looking for a resource, a transportation, asking if there's another agency besides Village Neighbors that would provide transportation out of Franklin County. And so gratefully, I was able to refer the person to the FRTA MedRide program, which does provide, volunteers provide, transportation out of Franklin. But what I did as well was look at PVTA and just to see, and they have a similar service, though it's not by volunteers. And of course, Shutesbury is not a member of their programs. Leverett is, interestingly enough, but yeah. So that brings me to Joanne and conversations you may have had regarding the PVTA, FRTA business with the select board.
Well, I did reach out to Rita, the select board chair, who told me that Becky, the town administrator, had a conversation with PVTA, and that Rita was going to ask Becky to send the results of the conversation to both Council on Aging and to Village Neighbors. So we can see when that arrives, we can look at the specifics there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, right. And because what we're thinking is, Joanne and I were thinking there was, if there's a need for us to, provide some sort of letter, whatever we might do as a council to emphasize the benefit. And, I don't know what the cost is, but gratefully, gratefully there is the FRTA MedRide program, but, having more options for people would be great. So, and then also if people get down to Amherst, they can ride PVTA buses to, further destinations if they didn't want to drive to Northampton, for example. So anything else about transportation? Martha?
This is Martha. This isn't transportation, but I'm plugged in, but it's just running low. So I'm just going to put myself off video, but I'm here. So
okay.
I just wanted you all to know, that'll just preserve what I have.
Thanks.
Electronics.
Okay. Susan Millinger.
I wanted to ask, I just want clarification for the minutes. When you said offered to us, COA offered to write a letter stressing the importance of transportation, to whom was this addressed, and who did you say?
It was just a general observation, no specifics. Okay. No, that if the select board needs something from us.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's something we could do. Yeah. So does anyone have anything else about transportation?
No.
Okay.
No.
And then the next item on the agenda is for Martha to give a report on the DEI training. And I don't know, Martha, if you're willing, if you want.
Yes.
To.
Yeah.
Great.
So I attended the DEI training, and it was excellent. It's this training was it was training on racism, and it was given by an organization, Racism Equality Institute out of the Carolinas. And it was a 2-day, and the really the premise was just sort of the first part of it, we looked at all the stereotypes that we have for poor whites, Blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans, and then imagining a lake and there are dead fish and what are the causes. And actually you really have to get to, the root causes of what's killing the fish. And that led us into the legal constructs in this country that have produced racism from the very beginning. Some of those first ones being starting in the 1600s, and going through the laws that created just one drop of blood, made someone non-white and therefore not a full citizen, and inheritance through the mother, because in that way, if anybody got land, they didn't want it being paternal and coming through the father, and going down through discussing. I took a photo of the of all of these legal actions that were taken, and going down through a lot of the Works Project Administration and all of these grants that were given to build the the Hoover Dam, the dam on the Colorado River, all of these major products. And who were they? Well, they're all industrialists and they're all white. And just to make the point that the government wasn't fair in terms of how they handed out things. And then talking about the GI Bill and how that was so huge in terms of a lot of GIs, many GIs came back to attend college, but there were very few Black colleges, and universities back then weren't integrated, and the Black colleges didn't have housing, and so that's what really created the again more social divide, because it wasn't inherited wealth, and it was a terrific program, and they sent out a workbook, which we just got, and then they've also offered to have meetings, ongoing meetings with people from various groups, and it's just been a lot of thought. So it's like, how can this, how can this apply to Shutesbury? And they talked about, there was, the notion that land deeds in the early 1900s clearly delineated who could borrow and who couldn't, and that's what you see in the land grants, in the land deeds of the property around the lake. So I would highly recommend it. The commissioner for what was it, Human Affairs, Elizabeth Chang was on, and she wants to have at least everybody from all the Council on Agings to be a participant in this program, because her point is really, if we can just change a few things, that's change, and just, moving forward with this information. So, and they also were to provide in this workbook. I just got it, so I need to look at it, but an extensive reading list. So, and it was probably one of the first programs where, and people commented on this, there wasn't the notion of I don't know. I mean, I hope this comes out right. Not being, it was just very, very objective. There wasn't guilt implied, because I I don't know, there were what, 3 people of color in terms of the participants. So I highly recommend it. I mean, it was 2 days, but those days were, I just found them engrossing.
How many hours a day, Martha?
Well, it started at 9 and it ended at 5, and they gave us an hour for lunch. And there was, you know, there was group work. I mean, one day I worked through lunch just because I was the spokesperson for, that's when we were looking at all these grants that were given out by the federal government. It was group work. They did a really nice job in terms of breaking it up. And there was one woman who just, she's a historian geek, and she just did a terrific job of just in probably an hour sort of explaining the history. And I knew, you know, I'd visited Brian Stevenson's museum. I went there in March in Montgomery, Alabama. So, you know, I knew that the economics were a huge driving force in terms of enslavement and keeping that going, and you know, all different parts of every part of this country was involved in it in one way or another. So, you know, it's not the South, not just the South. So, and you know, and they spoke about how the wedge was drawn very early on between the Blacks, the indentured servants that came, and the Black slaves who used to commingle and co-marry, and that wedge was no, you're different and you don't want to be like them because they're going to get the Blacks was much worse than the whites, and it was that wedge, and you see it today, and it's like, you know, it really helped to explain why Black Southerners cannot vote for what they need. You know, in my opinion, in terms of and against, you know, I think at times a lot they vote against what they could all benefit from. And if you know, if there wasn't that wedge and stigma in terms of trying to hang on to what little, you know, the stigma that's been created, it's a social construct, but life could be improved for everyone.
Thank you, Martha.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for telling me about it.
Yeah, I know that MCOA is offering the same training, more sessions of the same training. But they have indicated that the goal is to have one person from every council go. So I don't know if anyone else is interested, if it's okay for another person from our group to sign up, but I believe that I read that they're asking for one person. So thank you, Martha, very much.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's what they said. Commissioner Chen would like that. You know, one from each council on aging.
So is there a summary of this that we could see?
I mean, I took copious notes. I could write it up. Sure.
Well, two days worth of copious notes, Martha, is quite something to ask you to do. But does the program itself have summaries?
Well, they just sent out a workbook, and I need to take a look at it. And
okay.
I'll take a look at it and see if there's you know, if I can find you know, extract some of that and get it out to people.
Thank you. That would be very helpful. Yeah.
And depending, says Janice, it occurs to me, depending on how much space we have, something about noting that you attended this thing might be good for the Gazette too.
That's a great idea, Janice.
But I don't want to put any pressure on Martha.
Yeah.
Well, not to toot my own horn, but we could also mention the fact that I went to a diversity, equity,
Yes.
and
That's right.
inclusion
Yes.
workshop, so
Yes.
that the readers know that we were interested in this topic and working on it.
I think that's great.
Thank you, Susan. Yes.
And if we even say, look for more information in the future Gazette, if we don't have time to or space.
Yeah.
Just the idea of saying, we're not just not giving MedRide and doing foot care. We're doing other things too. And I think that's important for people to know.
Yeah.
Yes, and hey, we all did that training on
did.
LGBTQ. That
Yeah.
was very valuable training.
Yes, it was. Yeah, we all did
Right.
that.
So maybe that would be, this is Martha, sorry. That would be the focus of the short article, is that, Council on Aging is, cognizant of the issue, these various issues, and these are the trainings that people have been through.
Yeah, good.
Susan, this isn't Millinger, that is. This is Janice with a question. Because I am fading a little and thinking longingly of my bathroom next door. But so what was the training that you went to?
Why don't I send you? I think it might be in the minutes, but I would. I'll send you the information.
Okay, because
it was a.
Oh yes, age.
It was an age-friendly training.
Okay, diversity,
it was a DEI training. Yep.
But Martha's thing was also on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Well,
let me look at the title, Janice, and I'll send it to you.
Okay, because but one's AARP and the other one was from
MCO. Yeah.
We learned about it through Mass Council on Aging.
Okay.
Yeah. It was the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, like Martha said, the secretary was there. And so it's yeah.
Oh, okay. So presumably there was money changing hands in this. So I would say the Elder Office, the Office of Elder Affairs would have paid for it.
Well, I don't know, but
this is Martha. So yes, I mean, Commissioner Chen said that she said, I went out on a limb and they put a lot of money for 500 people to hopefully be trained. Does that make sense of numbers of Council on Agings for the state? And so she put money towards it. She found money and she felt it was worth investing in it.
Good. Well, there are 350 towns in Massachusetts with councils on aging.
Right. And some of them are much larger. So they, it would make sense to have more than one staff, to actually have staff that would attend. Yeah. Wow. Great. Okay. Anything else on that topic? We do have one housekeeping bit to share. And that is just that Susan Gomberg our phone line had a snafu with the recent switch over that affected the town hall phones, which are on a different system. They're still on a Crocker system, but the switch over that we went through last week affected the town hall phones. However, through miracles of technology, we have our new system up, our phone number, no change to our phone number, and the remote access has been simplified, and Susan and I have it down. Right, Susan?
Yes, that's right. And thanks all to you, Linda. And I was thinking one of the best things about the new way people can access the Council on Aging is that your voice is the one that they hear. And I think that's going to be great because you're going to be leaving us, which we all accept. But I just think that's one plus for you having changed the system out. So thank you again.
Well, anyway, there it is. But we just, that was another piece of action that happened behind the scenes, was that Susan suddenly couldn't access the voicemail remotely, but got it fixed. And yeah. And so our next meeting is on the, oh, Susan M.
Just clarification for the minutes. So the town hall was on Crocker and is now on South Avenue.
You don't have to put that. It's not relevant really for the minutes. The town hall has a different phone. It has its own phone system because it's all, you can call people, in their another extension and et cetera, et cetera. So the town hall system, just by way of explanation, is on Crocker, but it was affected because it's a computerized phone system. So it was affected by the switchover that happened, last week. So that's what happened. That's why we had to fix our phone and change some things, just like we all had to change our phones.
Okay, so do we have any other unanticipated items? So
I have some to say a couple things about future agenda items. So for our next meeting, we'll have the goal is to have a draft of the Gazette. Another topic is to consider, we might want to sponsor some sort of potential Zoom informational program featuring LifePath. And then Janice brought to our attention that this is something we need to talk about, is that every year we voted, well, actually, we already have a vote, a standing vote to contribute $500 annually to Village Neighbors. But if we were to do further voting on that, we need to talk about the fact that we have a member of the board of Village Neighbors is on the council, and there are other members of Village Neighbors on the council. So we want to just kind of talk about that a little bit. But we do already have a standing vote. So that was made previously. Is that okay?
Okay, and this is looking at the next meeting?
Yes, yes. So
I also will probably anticipate that there will be another request from Marianne for fitness programs for the third quarter.
Right. Thank you, Joanne. Anybody else have anything?
This is Gomberg. Is there any talk movement in the town hall about foot clinic going back inside, or is it still just not going to happen?
I don't think we've, pursued the question recently. Janice?
I just want to remind us that, sorry, it's spam, but it's going to ring 4 times, or maybe not. Anyway, we talked about this earlier in the fall and decided that even if we could go back into town hall, and have people waiting in their cars or waiting in a cold hallway to get into the foot clinic, it didn't seem like a good idea. I just want to remind us of that part of the discussion.
Thank you. Yeah.
And this is Gomberg again. I also remember that Becky said that all meetings would be by Zoom until March. So I guess my thoughts are directed to beyond that time. Okay. In the idea is it ever going to happen? And I know it's just, a thought of mine, since, something I'm interested in doing again. And I just wonder every now and then, is it just not ever going to happen? Does anyone have thoughts on that? I know Janice's points are well taken, you know. And there's always a new wave coming, and now there's a triple wave.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. So, Susan, would you be okay if we have that on our agenda for the next meeting?
Oh, sure.
Thoughts of looking towards the spring and warmer weather, and
yeah, just to get people's general thoughts on the whole idea of going back ever, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And would you be willing at some point possibly to reach out and just kind of feel, you know, and maybe after the holiday time in January, maybe reach out to Becky and just float the topic?
Yeah. Yeah, I certainly will do that. Sure.
Okay, that'll be great. So we'll have that on the agenda for the next meeting as well. Is that okay with everybody? Susan?
May I ask Susan Gomberg a question? Susan, are we getting a new nurse, foot nurse?
Possibly. She said she was going to retire, and now it was based on her husband also retiring, but he might not be retiring, so there's a possibility she might not retire. But it sounded like she was going to retire anyway. So yes, appointments in March would be her last appointments, I believe, is where it is right now.
Okay, thank you. I just was wondering.
Sure. Yeah. Yep.
Anything else?
Would it be? I'm wondering about asking the current clients how they would feel about going back into town hall.
We did do that. Or did we do that?
We did that. It was just when the one before Omicron, B or something. It was just I had contacted everybody who was currently receiving services, and everyone would have been fine going back with distancing and masking.
Okay.
Actually, except one person who said they would never go back. But,
Janice here, I think that's what sparked, when you reported that's what sparked the idea of people waiting in the hallway, cold, things like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just figuring out the timing of things so that people arrive just before their appointments, or, you know, if one person is there ahead, there'd be they could be distant apart in the room. But we'll talk more about that in January.
Sounds good.
Okay, thank you. Whew.
Okay. I think we've gone through the agenda. Does anyone have something to add before we close?
Happy holidays.
Okay, apparently not.
Thank you, Martha. So we'll motion to adjourn.
This is Gomberg. I move that we adjourn.
Bob.
The time is 6:44 p.m.
Okay, so we have a motion by Susan and second by Martha.
Okay. Bernhard, aye.
Martha Favre, aye.
Gomberg, aye.
Gray, aye.
Billinger, aye.
And Scott, aye. So there we are. Susan Millinger, thank you for hosting the Zoom for us.
You're welcome.
Hey, everyone, have a safe and healthy holiday.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in the new year.
Yes.
How about that?
See you in the new year.
Be well,
yes.
everyone. Be well.
Bye all.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.